Quick disclaimer. This channel does not promote, encourage, endorse, or glorify the use of legal or illegal psychoactive substances. This is simply a harm reduction education video disguised as entertainment. What's up, guys? It's Psychedelical coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about my first DMT breakthrough. Now, first I have to say this was not my first DMT trip. This was my first real breakthrough. And it was also definitely not my first time taking a very intense psychedelic experience where you kind of go to a different place, if that makes sense to some of you. But it was by far, and is still by far, the most intense psychedelic experience I have had so far. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so brief little history of my experience with DMT before this breakthrough experience. I had gotten this DMT cart, and I had started very slow. I started with a very small hit that I could barely feel, and I think I took another one after that, but I started very slow, and I just kind of worked my way up slowly, adding a little bit more, until one day I had reached this point where I really felt something different happening, and that was when I decided, okay, the next trip I have, it's going to be a breakthrough. And so the week leading up to this, I was thinking, all right, I'm going to take a few days break and have a breakthrough at some point. I don't know when. Just when I feel ready. And so the day before this, I was actually kind of planning on breaking through that day. I believe it was a Monday or Sunday. The day before my breakthrough, I was planning on breaking through. And I had actually been stressing about it all day. I was kind of nervous to take the DMT again, even in a smaller amount, because I was caught off guard by something different happening the last time I had done it. And so the day before, I actually did end up doing a small dose of DMT, and that kind of settled my nerves down, but I decided I didn't want to break through that night. And the next day, I decided, alright, I'm breaking through today, unless I really just don't feel it. And so I kind of waited all day, meandered, I had dinner, talked to my family, and then I decided, alright, well, I think it's time. And I went up to my room, and I sat there with the DMT cart in my hand for a little bit, and it was just kind of this very daunting feeling, knowing that I was about to go dive into the unknown. I was super nervous, but I was also super curious about what the breakthrough would be like. And so, boy, was I blown away, because it's something. But so I took the first hit, and these were all 10-second blinkers, I guess, because that's when my battery blinks. So I took the first 10-second hit, and you have to hold it when you take a hit of DMT. So I held it for 5 to 10 seconds. I wasn't counting. Start feeling it. I take the second one and the third one in the same breath, and I hold them, and I take a fourth one, and that was all I was planning on doing. And I leaned back, closed my eyes, and I didn't immediately feel myself going anywhere further than what I had before. And so I shot up, and this was actually because of something I had heard from a Terence McKenna lecture. He said that if you are able to sit up and take more DMT, then do it. And so I shot up, and I took another big hit, and by the fifth hit, I was actually kind of forgetting why I was hitting the cart, and it was just getting to be this very, very intense psychedelic experience, visuals everywhere, like complex geometry just floating in the air in front of me, and I thought to myself, I'm taking the hits to have a breakthrough. So I took one more huge hit, And I don't even know how long I hit it for, but eventually I looked down and the battery was blinking, so I put it to the side, and I held it, and I held it, and I held it, and at this point, I mean, by the time you even take the third hit, for me, I get this body feeling like I'm splitting down the middle, and just each side of me is moving apart from the other, and there's fractals going on in your room, so it gets very, very intense when you try to break through on a DMT cartridge. That's why I try and recommend the raw DMT powder if you want to break through. But, so I'm taking the hits. I finished my 6th hit. I'm holding it. And I lean back onto my pillow. And as I let go of this hit, I just disappear. I vanished from this reality or this place. Like, it's really hard to put into words, but you are completely gone from here. And you open your eyes in this crazy, crazy, fractally dimension-y world. And I remember seeing the floral pattern that I've seen multiple times and kind of being sucked into it, but even though I know I saw something after that, I really can't remember much of it or many details. Like, it's kind of difficult for me to remember the visuals from the breakthrough part, but it's very, very clear. I can very, very clearly remember the auditory hallucinations, or I'm not even going to call them that because they were not hallucinations. They were very, very real. Like, where you go on DMT is a very real place, and it's not just a drug experience. And so, I'm going through this floral pattern, and all the sounds that I can hear, like my breath, and like anytime I would move a little bit on my bed, I would just hear it echo endlessly, and just change and echo endlessly until it was just like wah 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 wah. And then eventually, when I went through the floral pattern, the echoes got so intense, and then out of the echoes these voices came out, and they were screaming at me like they were chanting in this like gibberish, almost like a computer downloading something language that was very weird, but I could understand it. And then from that came English. Like, I was actually understanding English words that they were saying to me, and they were screaming, "Do it, do what we're doing, do exactly what we're doing, pay attention, do it, pay attention to us, pay attention." And they were screaming at me and getting extremely urgent. And I tried to pay attention because I wanted to gain something from this DMT trip. I wasn't sure what I wanted, but I wanted to gain something. And I tried to pay attention to them, and when I did, my mouth just shot open into this, like, chanting of gibberish that sounded a little bit like chingo moi chakasne mi skubas e. And when I did that, they became delighted. They started screaming at me and like celebrating. I couldn't even necessarily understand them at this point. I was just so blown away. But they were very happy that I had chanted in this gibberish. It's very confusing, but I guess I'm happy that I made them happy. But this is where I kind of disconnected from this place. This whole breakthrough experience only lasted about 5 minutes before I started to disconnect. I couldn't have told you how much time had no concept to me while it was happening, but looking at the clock, It was only about 5 or 10 minutes. And when I started to disconnect from this place, I just remember hearing a car go by my house, and it had been raining out, so the roads were wet. And when this car went by my house, that was the first thing I recognized as, oh, a car just went by. And that's when I slowly started regaining, like, oh, I'm in my room. I'm breathing oxygen. And I was so grateful to be back, even though I had it was a beautiful time and a very good experience, but I was just so grateful to be back here in this reality in my body that I started hugging my pillows and blankets, and I was just so grateful. I literally said to myself, wow, I'm breathing oxygen. Like, I'm touching atoms. This is good. Because I hadn't done that for a little bit at that point. And after that, I looked around my room, and my wall and my ceiling were dancing and moving and merging into each other. And there was just stained glass pattern like visuals overlaying my ceiling and floor and everything in my room. And everything was changing and undulating, but I was still like, that was nothing compared to what I had just gone through. That was like, I couldn't have cared about that. I was like, all right, I'm back. That's all, I'm back. And for the next 15 minutes, I just kind of sat there in utter shock, still kind of affected by the drug. But after that, I kind of got clear thoughts back and my sense of reality. And I spent the next 30 minutes still just kind of laying there in my bed, assessing what had just happened and trying to process it. Then I think I probably went downstairs and ate some food and then went to bed, because I was tired after that. I probably smoked some cannabis as well. But yeah, that was pretty much my first DMT breakthrough experience. It was very intense. I'll get into some of the effects of it, like the lasting effects that I've noticed and the integration. So the first really big effect that I noticed was, so I've always been a very anxious person my whole life. I've always been somebody that kind of overthinks things and worries a lot. The day after my DMT breakthrough, I just wasn't doing that I just wasn't overthinking and worrying about pointless, meaningless stuff anymore. And I still don't do it as much as I used to. Like, it really changed me in that sense, and I don't know what exactly about the trip caused that, but something changed while I was in there. Yeah. There's some other things about DMT that I figured I'd kind of throw into this video, because it's my first video solely on DMT. The come up on DMT. So I obviously had a slightly extended come up for my breakthrough experience, just because of how many hits I had to take. But if you just take whatever dose you're going to take in 1 or 2 hits, the come up is really non-existent almost. It's very fast. Like, you go from sober to very intense psychedelic experience almost instantaneously. It's a very intense come up. The taste is kind of meh, so. A lot of people say it's unbearable and the smoke's extremely harsh. I haven't found it that way, honestly. The taste is bad, but not unbearable. And the smoke has not been too harsh, in my opinion, but I also smoke a lot of cannabis, so that could have something to do with it. And oh yeah, and I wanted to touch on that sound, that wah 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 wah. A lot of people talk about that, and some people say that they're not sure what it is, and I'm not going to claim that I'm sure what it is, but what it feels like to me, that ringing and humming that you hear on DMT, to me it feels like the frequency of the universe. And that's just my opinion. But anyways, guys, that was today's video on my first DMT breakthrough. I would seriously appreciate it if you would subscribe and maybe like the video. It would help me get some of my stories and harm reduction videos out to more of the public, to hopefully educate some of you fools out there before you go and take a bunch of random spish-bosh drugs. Anyways, that's about it. Have a great day.